Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Bit of a discussion one. I want to share with you news, up-to-date stuff about Montello, fill in some gaps with Jim Brenner, as well as the court date, my predictions on it as well with some theories, okay? And a few responses by one another of different YouTubers, such as Salty Pancakes and No Thanks. So a few different things to cover, okay? You can discuss things within the chat if you wish to, whether it be responses to what's being discussed in this video or if it's other stuff. It doesn't matter, you can feel free to talk about anything. First bit of breaking news, okay? So originally, the odd person thought I was Jim Terry, so good start. Now I'm suddenly labelled as Kurt's wife or upcoming wife. But then, in a short space of time, someone retracted that statement and said I'm a boyfriend instead. Bit of a downgrade, isn't it? Why did that have to happen to me? So unfortunate. Oh well, maybe better luck next time. So yeah, some wacky stuff goes on, obviously. Don't matter what case, what mystery, things can happen. And I'm sure more will happen in the future. But let's start to get back on track, okay? So where should we begin first? Well, let's start with the newest up-to-date information / updates, and that's to do with Montello. So recently, I don't know who it was first that was the catalyst for it, whether it be Lance reporting to the police FBI about Jim's burnt out trailer, or Doug afterwards following on from that and trying himself. I do remember in one of the streams Doug said something about him being the catalyst, so that could be the case. But as of right now, or at least yesterday, the police presence is there in Montello. I'll just show you what was mentioned on Doug's channel on his community tab. So yeah, with No Thanks channel, as I said, been consistently active with the different live streams, call-ins with key different people. As you can see, his thumbnails as well have changed. They don't look as blurry now from when I pointed out last time. And I guess some of the pictures are more relevant and linked to one another with the video and the titles of the video. The only reason why it's worth pointing that out is because at the end of the day, you need to attract the right type of people to the video and make sure it reaches out to as many people as possible, so then people are informed. So yeah, as for the titles, I'll be honest, the titles are a little bit vague at times, so it's hard to know what is what. That's why when people come to me and say, hey Andrew, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? You're too late for this, you've not even covered that. And it's like, well, first of all, you try searching for that stuff on its own in a title search, it will not come up because it's a part of a much bigger video, i.e. on here, such as Dylan Round Search Continues. That doesn't really say much, does it? Now, I do understand though, I understand why the titles may be vague, because look, some of them are about 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours long. So you can't fit everything into the title, what you're going to talk about. And I guess if it's a live stream and it's on the spot, it's like maybe you can't think of a title to begin with. So I get that, but still, sometimes it is worth having a sharp, specific title or a general term one of the different themes and topics you're going to be talking about, so it's easier to follow and refer back to. And especially when you do the search terms on YouTube, you can find those little bits of information much quicker, like how you would on my channel if you wanted to hear about the latest bone found within the Kenny Veach case or a specific M Cave hike route, etc. Does that make sense? Or like a key individual suspect case file analysis breakdown of someone. That's what I've done, and you'll see in some of my playlist as examples. But linking back, profile, the thumbnails are much cleaner and sharper now, so that's useful. Now let's get back to the main feature, okay? So we'll have to try and find it first of all. I don't want to activate any videos because I don't want any copyright claims or issues, so just give me a second. So, okay, here we go. So 14 hours ago, Zach Moore just contacted me back He is the lead detective on the case for Dylan Rounds. See you tonight, okay, in a live video. And then below it, the main bit, 16 hours ago, cops and federal agent were all over Montello area today. So that's from yesterday. So the way that's worded, all over, so what, like one big crackdown on the place to go into each house, each building, bit by bit, questioning everyone and everything. And in terms of Montello, what do they exactly mean? The town of Montello or / and the outskirts? We'll get into that shortly, okay? And then in terms of the comments, not too much going on. Hey, Julie. I just saw the comment there. Basically just people agreeing. I just wanted to check the comments briefly because sometimes people do add little bits of information on. Okay, so that's why I do check. The one above it, is there much going on there? Not really. So yeah, that's kind of interesting, that. So I guess to some people it's a relief to be hearing about that, more presence in Montello, trying to, crack down and get a grip of things within the case due to how things went previously in the past. But there is a but, and there was a response by Salty Pancakes who gave a differing story. So let me share that with you now. So this is Salty Pancakes channel. Quick shout out, if you haven't already, feel free to check his latest video out, which was streamed 8 hours ago, nearly 4 hours long, and it's talking with Terry, Jim Terry, the private investigator, so that could be interesting. But specifically, we're here for the community response, okay? There's a top one there, which we'll get to shortly, but this was Salty's response to what Doug previously said. Update. No FBI agents in Montello today. 1 sheriff, 2 detectives, and a US Marshal at the post office getting the address of a sex offender. After about 10 minutes, they left. That's the facts. So, that's interesting because it is a differing interpretation to how Doug painted it himself. Now, there is a difference in terms of locations of where people live. Salty has been within the area of Montello in recent time investigating. I don't know how close he lives to Montello, but he has been present recently, so he'd have a better idea of knowing what's what. As for Doug, I don't believe Doug has been boots on ground in the area. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. But it's that general language used. So Doug said they're in Montello all over. That sounds like there's a big police presence, agents have shown up, everyone, covering everything. But from what Salty says, different story. Quick comments. Let's just see what's said. Eric, shout out to Eric. He might be watching right now. Thank you for clarifying. We all know how some people may have blossomed this tidbit into yet another tall tale. Is that a penguin emoji or a pigeon? Is that referencing my penguin? Maybe not. Oh, and then this individual, what did they have to say? Rolling the eyes emoji. Oh my god. I don't see the point of posting this. At least it's edited to not mention a non-existent FBI agent. Too late, as you have gave Doug content for his shit show. Typical procedure when someone dips out and has a warrant, US Marshal and local law enforcement. That's what LE stands for, law enforcement, if you didn't know. Salty replies, so people don't run with a wild narrative. I'm stating the actual facts. I posted this after Doug posted his, so he doesn't run with lies again. That's the point of posting this. It makes sense what Salty's doing, his intention. It's to clear up misinformation, confusion along the way. It's a natural thing. Person replies, apparently he has missed the memo. It's impossible to control what other people will do anyway. Where else would Doug hear this from? Ty or Lance? They just want money, the greedy lot of them. I couldn't have said it better. Okay. Please help me understand why a crap channel like Doug's would even have a lead detective talk to him. Shaking my head. Candice Cooley said that it's up to Ellie, not YouTubers. Something to that effect. Still greedy channels, ignore the obvious. Good, I thought it odd. Okay. So, yeah, that's one idea. You can leave your comments down below. What do you think of the situation at the moment with some of the drama? Do you still watch Doug's channel, his videos? How are they going? How do you think overall? So, yeah. Do we move on to the next bit? Let's just move on to this bit now, okay? And we will link back to the Montello news shortly. So just hold with me, chat. You can carry on talking if you wish to and discuss different things. We might as well just bring this up because it's recent as well. Tyler Feller has blocked me. Do you know what? Automatically, I go into an American accent when I read out that name for some reason. Tyler. It just sounds so American. Then again, it might be because when I was playing a video game in the past called Need for Speed Payback, there was a main character called Tyler, so that could be it. So it reads, Tyler Feller has blocked me. Tyler Feller's stream tonight. Is that a footprint? Also, donate to me. Donate. What a fraud, scammer, and everything in between. Okay, so it looks like, I guess, more drama has gone on. Once again, Salty Pancakes has been blocked by another individual. I'm not sure why exactly, but it is one of those things. It can happen, and it has happened with other people too, other channels, and it doesn't even have to be YouTubers. It can be family members within the case too, and I'll mention that in a second. Just check the comments out. What does it read? The first one. That tells you right there who he is. The fact that he would rather have a person on his panel who trashes and frauds parents of missing kids and threatens anyone who speaks out about it. Tyler Feller is now in my book a fraud for clicks and views. And then Easy replied saying, exactly, I got timed out in the chat and threatened to be banned when I asked why he only reads out paid questions. He and Black Dove had no clue about what they were talking about regarding the pictures. It's all just scamming at this point. So once again, kind of interesting how you got that level of response. You know, when you just ask a question, it just seems a bit far-fetched getting banned or threatened in whatever way. To be fair, that's just my opinion. Anything else? Missing, that gets me. I'm not going to name names, but it's plain to see a lot of YouTubers are nothing more than smooth talking charlatans. I saw that word mentioned on one of my previous videos, charlatans. I can't remember which one it was. What else is there? People are far too trusting to these robbing bastards. Okay. I see this title says he has new exclusive lies. He regurgitates the same thing over and over. Whoever gives me the most donations will get a free mug if they pay the shipping. A mug? Wow. What was the responses? With Black Dove enhancing the story and kissing his butt, give Tyler enough money and he may even pray over you. Now you might be wondering, what's that all about? Well, Tyler Feller is supposedly tied with the church in some way, where he gives out sermons, whether he's I don't know, all the different roles within the church, but you see what I mean, that sort of stuff. He's just another fraud, Salty Pancake says. I'm more curious about who Keith and Kim are. I don't know who they are. Do you think they are more than just his stooges running the show? Salty believes, yeah, they are the puppet masters. And then he also adds in saying, I'm a paid member and Tyler still blocked me. Eric replies, you paid? Yeah, well. And then Ranger storms in. That blows me away. Their little windfall brought me on by JT and BD will end, then they will regret treating members like that. Anything else? I'm sure I hope the shenanigans catch up with them. Someone should look into what his actual ministry does and see if there is anything shady going on. I don't think YouTube should allow people to make money from covering. Okay. There are, especially when they are harassing people. I'm only watching for the drama, and at this point I want to find Dylan, and I do, but it looks like the case has gone dry and other missing people deserve more airtime. Now, taking that comment in mind, the whole thread, to be honest, for someone like Salty Pancakes getting blocked by that channel despite becoming a member, giving some form of money or whatever to another person, and that's how you get treated. Not exactly right. In any case or situation, if a person or group give a certain amount or give something, whatever, then it should be appreciated no matter. And yet in this case, it looked like that wasn't the case. And to be fair, it's one of those things where, there seems to be a higher level of resistance. You'd get that idea of if you paid or gave money or you became some kind of member, you might be treated a little bit better, or there might be some biasness with the YouTuber. But it shows in this case that that's not it. And that resistance, it's like, what is it? Because they don't want certain questions being asked. They feel that the truth has been revealed, which they don't accept or want to come out. It makes them look a bit dodgy, to be honest. And speaking of dodginess, what Easy says about the ministry being investigated, things could go off track completely and go much deeper than expected and reveal all kinds of dark stuff. As with like other situations and bits of news here and there, when it does come to churches or some kind of religion or whatever, some dodgy things can go on inside. You know what I'm saying? All kinds of stuff, like with, younger people and all that. So I guess we're one of those situations where who knows what will happen next. But kind of odd, to be fair. Anything else? You are Tyler Feller. What? He's so phony, he doesn't want Dylan home and is far from being spiritual enough to solicitate blessings for money. Spot on. That's what he said. Okay. So that was kind of interesting. A few more bits and bobs going on. I guess Salty being blocked by another YouTuber. And that has happened previously with Doug as well at a point in time. A lot can go on behind the scenes and things could run deeper. Maybe we get into that at some point. But linking back to what I said just a bit earlier about how people getting blocked on other platforms by other people, such as family members. If I'm correct in saying the correct username, an individual who does watch some of my videos, appreciate that, known as Country Girl, she reached out, and she did mention it in one of the previous live premiere videos, okay? She said that she reached out to Dylan's mother, just sharing thoughts and all that stuff, being supportive in a positive way, but also being on a personal level, showing her experience or something. And Dylan's mother's response, Candice, was to block Country Girl. And it's like, oh. And that was in recent time. If it happened way back then when everything was going down, it might have been heat at the moment, high emotions, and it's like, can't deal with anyone or anything. So you block everyone out and push everyone away. That would make sense. But as we've seen with Dylan's mother, she's been somewhat calm through the different interviews we've watched and had a bit of a straight face too, said things how they are from her perspective. And yet now she just does that, blocks somebody. It just seems a bit, abrupt, right? Doesn't it? Right, like right now, because she seems kind of calm, as I said. So is this out of character? Is this level of resistance normal within Candice? Is Candice revealing a different side to her because of that action? I know one of the points could be, well, she probably just doesn't want the general public reaching out, doing this and doing that. But then again, the mother did reach out to the general public on the Facebook page saying, if you want to buy seeds or if you want the seeds, we'll give them to you and then you can plant them in memory or for Dylan, as that event was upcoming because of his birthday. So she was okay reaching out to people then, but when somebody reaches out to her to give support in a positive way, she doesn't seem to like it. Is that the case? Let me know what you think in the chat down below. Have you been blocked by anyone within this case? Any YouTubers? any family members? Feel free to let me know and share your story down below, because it might reveal something if there are patterns forming. Now, previously, I think I might have mentioned it in a past one, is that within the Kenny Veach case, there was times where people got blocked by certain family members, and it was at times where people reached out just saying, hey, how are you? Hope things are okay, and stuff like that, and they still got blocked by certain family members. And then that created suspicion, and then when digging a little bit deeper, those family members got more suspicious because of their behaviour, some of their comments here and there, and activity. So it's always worth just taking into mind, okay? And lastly, before we move on, what do you think about Tyler Feller? Have you watched his videos? What do you think of them? Are they regurgitated? I mean, as a blind opinion by me, okay, this was my initial thoughts when it came to seeing quite a few different videos, was, is it just a regurgitated story over and over again or something? I might be wrong, but that was my original blind perspective without watching the videos, okay? I've looked at a few since, and I guess they do talk about different stuff, but they might keep linking back. That's kind of like what I do at times. It's worth linking back to reinforce a certain point, or at least just to bring it back up, because new people are always coming in at a point in time, so then it'll help them understand the situation. So if that makes sense, might just be the titles of the videos what made me interpret it that way, as, oh, it's all the same, regurgitated, when it might not always be the case with people. But I'm just basing it off the titles and how you interpret it. First time impressions, right? But yeah, when I did look at one of Tyler's videos, it was helpful when he did some kind of PowerPoint presentation of some of the key individuals. I mean, Chase, Jim, Larry Rounds, I think Kurt was on there as well, and Dylan. All the ties and connections and explanations of who is who and how are they related, or how do they know each other. That was helpful. The video was very long, but I just skipped through part of it and then just looked at it that way. So yeah. Now, some of you might be wondering, why talk about that? Why show that? Just like how some of you might be wondering, why the hell is this polar bear in the frame? I don't know, but here you go. You're welcome. So, regarding all of that, some of you might be wondering, why is it even being covered in this video? Why is it being talked about in the first place? All that matters is finding Dylan. All the effort and time should be put into that and not the drama and conflict. But at the end of the day, you know, the drama and the conflict is what's tied with the mystery. The misinformation is tied within the case and the different people, the external ones, YouTubers, general public, but also family members too. So it all connects to one another in a certain way. So it is relevant. And in addition, the people being, you know, analysed and looked at are other YouTubers and investigators who have tried searching or solving the case. So it is important. And it's important to understand what's going on within their behaviour, their mindset, where they're at. You know, it can reveal certain things like the possibilities of them being able to find something, evidence, Dylan, that. Trying to understand why there is a conflict between one another. Is it for darker reasons, deeper ones, or is it just a misunderstanding? Because at the end of the day, it's not guaranteed, but if you're able to figure something out or resolve something or diffuse, neutralize that conflict, that tension, and more people can start working together more efficiently, it's more time efficient, it's more practical, and there might be higher chances of solving the case. So it can all have a positive knock-on effect. Equally though, it can have a negative one, let's not forget that. But you get the idea, and that's why it is being talked about, okay? So now, let's just put that aside. You can leave your thoughts in the chat as I move on to the next talking point, okay? So we need to link back to the Montello news and the supposed police presence. On one side, they're covering the entire area, and then on the other side, it's just a couple of people present. It's trying to understand who's right and who's wrong. Salty Pancakes has been within the area and visited, so he would know better, I guess, than someone like Doug. But then if Doug has certain contacts, whether it be the police, agents, FBI, whoever, to interview, then you'd get this better information that way. So trying to weigh it up. Now we don't just stop there, because there is an additional piece of new information, news, and we'll go on to Google Maps to talk about this. So, in Doug's last live video, he did bring up the point about paedophiles being present within Montello. I don't know if that's entirely true, but there was also talking about them being near to the school and that it shouldn't be allowed. But then again, it's one of those things, you can leave your thoughts in the chat. Is any of this true? Would you be surprised if there were paedophiles or not in the area? All I would say is you've got the school down here next to the church. Okay, so maybe dodgy stuff could go on. Like how that guy earlier was saying about Tyler Feller and the ministry needs investigating. Not literally, but you see what I'm getting at, because sometimes dodgy things can go on, especially when in a community or a neighbourhood that's close-knit, tied together, and maybe away from everybody else out there. So things aren't reported, people keep the mouth shut within the area, and whatever happens, happens, and there can be a bit of darkness. Now that could trigger a negative response by certain people, especially genuine ones that live in the area. That's understandable, but this is me looking at it from an outside perspective, because I'm not there, so it's just giving a rough observation, okay? As for the school, it doesn't look much of one, but maybe it would have been shown better in Salty Pancake's footage when he was there. But nevertheless, what you can see is surrounded. The school is surrounded by the neighbourhood, by different buildings and trailers. So there could be a few dodgy people living nearby, watching, staring, the lot. Now, one thing Doug did bring up, linking on from that, was Doug said Kurt is a paedophile. Kind of random, but I just wanted to share that with you. That's what was brought up in that video of Doug's, that Kurt Wadsworth is supposedly a paedophile. So you can leave your thoughts, what you think of that. I mean, it's one of those things where it could be slander, and you start falsely accusing someone of a serious crime or behaviour, actions. It can lead to someone being in trouble, someone being falsely accused. It can ruin their lives. So I guess you've got to be careful when it comes to things like that. I'm just relaying what's been talked about on that other channel. So, if anyone wants to speak up or share their thoughts, feel free to do so in chat. But what am I getting at? So, the only link I've noticed with this whole thing, and let's just do the street view. I know it's not the best quality, but just so you get a different perspective whilst I'm talking, all right? So, okay, here it is, Montello. The different trailers. There is supposedly a mailbox or a mail office nearby. I'm not sure exactly where. But the link I've noticed, the potential one, is that what Doug says about maybe paedophiles being in the area, does that link to what Salty Pancakes was talking about when he said there was the odd officer and sheriff at the post office looking for a sex offender? I know there might be different terms used, but you can get a paedophile sex offender, can't you? So is there a link there? Is that what Doug is referring to and what Pancakes is referring to indirectly? That would make more sense, in my opinion. You can leave your thoughts down below, though. But man, a few things seem to be going on, right, don't there? Different types of crime. You could be wondering, how does this link to Dylan Rounds whatsoever? Talking about paedophiles and this and that. I mean, the age Dylan is, 19 years old, he's not young, he's not vulnerable in that way. But Could we try and understand it from the perspective of other missing people, maybe? If there's supposedly other missing people within the area or nearby, could they have been kidnapped by a paedophile gang or grooming gang? You know what I'm saying? Whether it be people that come from that school or near to the neighbourhood, could people be kidnapped when they're by themselves and then taken somewhere? What we need to do, if it was possible, would be to look at the profiles of these supposed missing people and try and find links. So if they're all of a certain age and fairly young, then you could make links that way and say, well, there might be a motive to why they've been kidnapped because of them being a certain age. And it's trying to then pinpoint who the culprit is or the group and where they are. Are they directly in Montello or are they elsewhere? Are they on the move? And do they have any link whatsoever with Dylan's disappearance, or do they know someone that is responsible? Because at times criminals can associate themselves with other criminals. Just like how people say that positive people at times associate themselves around other positive people for that influence and stuff. So I'm sure the same can happen in a negative way too. So yeah, kind of interesting. Let me know what you think. What do you think is the reason to why there are other missing people out there? Is it a singular reason or is it isolated, separate cases? Let me know. So, is there anything else to cover? Well, as we were saying, police presence. If we're basing it off what Doug said, let's just visualise it for a second. Police are all over Montello. Montello just isn't this spot. Montello can apply over here, over here, and round about over here. So that all comes into play and the police are all over the place. They should be investigating each spot, what I've marked, okay? They should be looking at each one, visiting, investigating, questioning the people that might live there, work there, and looking at the abandoned buildings too, such as the shed here. That abandoned, dodgy looking place. Or if you want to do another one, the abandoned barn, which is over here in the middle of nowhere, looking very spooky and creepy. And if not that, even, where's another one? The container down here. All possible spots to look at. So if, agents, authority are within the area, they should look at them because who knows what you can find. But it's that idea of, if that's the case, why is it only happening now? After 2 months of Dylan going missing? Why the delay? What's really triggered it all of a sudden? What's that new interest, that motivation to look into Montello when Lucin was supposedly the hot spot? As you know, previously, whilst the talks and focus was on Lucin, I was focusing on Montello for some time, right? The bar itself and maybe the people nearby too. And then that developed into looking at all these different areas, including, you could say, the less suspicious ones, like that. Maybe a business, homestead, but someone that lives there, works there, could, have info or have met Dylan at a point in time. All the different places, and there was quite a few of them. Even though it's a vast, desolate area, there's a fair few points, at least about 18 locations to investigate. And now there seems to be action. So it does make you think. Though when looking at what Salty Pancakes said about just a couple of people being there looking for a sexual offender, that seems more to do with an isolated case, right? Not linking to Dylan, they're there for a different reason. And then it would create that sense of, that's kind of disappointing. So it is trying to understand where are we at and how the police are acting themselves, because I know the main focus and priority has been over this way. And that's why, investigators, hikers, people searching whether it be Scott Natal, Earthworm Infotainment, etc., haven't been near here because they would get caught, they'd get in trouble, so they've been further away exploring. And that does make sense, okay? So just zoom out one last time. You get that idea. So let me know what you think. Does police, FBI need to, hit harder and specifically search in Montello? Or do you think they're doing just fine as they are in Lucin at Dylan's farm? Feel free to let me know. And now we move on to one of the key main suspects, Jim, also known as James Brenner. Why are we linking back to him now? Well, as I said at the start of this video, a few little updates regarding him and the court case upcoming. So I'm going to share with you the date of that and then just some other backstory information which might have not been mentioned before on my channel and certain dates just to fill in the blanks and the timeline, okay? Let's get into it now. So here's the article. Utah farmer Dylan Rounds now missing for 2 months as 20th birthday approaches. So it's a little old, this article, but when you scroll down, it just mentions a little bit about James Brenner. James Brenner, 58-year-old who was squatting on neighbour's land. Yes, we know about that. No charges have been filed in direct connection to the missing person case. But look at this. I didn't hear about this before. Brenner was convicted of shooting and seriously wounding another man at a campsite in Maryland in 1986 in a work-related dispute. According to authorities there, he has numerous other convictions over the years and has served federal time, records show. So I think that's actually quite important, that bit of the article. Just let me know what you think. So Jim has been known to hurt, wound, shoot someone due to a work dispute, a falling out. It just so happens that Jim was working with Dylan at a point in time on the farm. That Jim was squatting on Dylan's land, so there could have been a work dispute there. It happened with Don Hatley, or Don Hately. It happened with him and Dylan when they were arguing over a washing machine. So the same could have occurred with Jim. As said, with past experience and history of being like that, it can repeat itself. Now, I didn't know about that specific individual event because when I looked at the court documents or the overview of it in that news report previously, it said, oh, he's had the odd run-in with people, kind of like fatally shot someone, but it didn't say exactly when and what it was directly about, what was the motive. And now, with knowing it was a work dispute, it shows that when it comes to maybe petty behaviour, some kind of falling out, Jim ends up responding in an extreme, unnecessary way. So does that reinforce the possibility that it happened with Dylan as well? And in this case, Dylan wasn't as lucky. Yeah. So I did click on that blue text where it says convicted of shooting because when I did it with the Don one, I think, it did link onto a previous article, but when I tried it this time, it didn't. So I guess it's because of the year it happened as well. It's probably way too old to be recorded. Is there anything else here? Yes, okay. Let's just read this out because it makes a bit more sense now. According to a neighbour identified in court documents as DH. I assume DH now means, from what we've recently heard, Don Hately, the individual who is friends with Jim Brenner. Okay? It says, at some point after Round's disappearance, Brenner asked him to conceal 3 black powder guns and a .22 caliber rifle without a serial number. After being contacted by the FBI, DH gave the weapons to authorities. Citing past felony convictions, they charged Brenner with being a felon in possession of firearms. Okay, I think that summarises it now. And the reason why it says DH, and the reason why previously on a past article it said a friend, is because of, I guess, legal reasons or safety reasons at the time of when things were going on. Because I remember, I think it was Black Dove mentioned that in the court, Don's last name was retracted for safety, and so Jim didn't know or something. So that makes sense. But yeah, let me know what you think. Another local man, Chase Venstra, is also facing federal firearm charges in connection with the case. Now, that's kind of worded wrong because from what we know now, it isn't connection with the case, it's like a standalone one, but they treated it as a homicide. But now, obviously, we know he's been cleared. What did it say? Authorities served a search warrant at his home prior to Round's disappearance, found 2 guns, then by listening to jailhouse phone calls after the teen went missing, police said they learned he had more weapons hidden with an associate. Now, this is interesting because although Chase has been cleared, the way it appears on here is if maybe there's a third individual. And what does it mean by listening to jailhouse calls or something? Is that Chase contacting inmates via the phone, talking about Dylan's disappearance, or just talking about weapons in general? Is that what they're referring to? Feel free to correct me because it is a bit confusing at times, this sort of stuff, okay? But from the looks of it, they're saying that there are other firearms elsewhere. Okay, is that a big deal? Are they the ones tied to Dylan's disappearance? And to be honest, as we know with Chase, what we've previously seen, with bullets being hidden in the ground at his former place, along with other items as well, it makes you think, were those the rifle bullets with maybe ones mentioned previously or not? Because there seem to be rifles at the end of the day. So that is interesting. Maybe those weapons, those other ones, are buried at his place. Who knows? So I am interested about the third associate, because that's what it sounds like. They've mentioned Jim's name, they've mentioned Chase's name, and that's what it's been focused on all this time. Well, Jim from the beginning and then Chase coming in. Who is that third individual? Is this still linking back to that woman on YouTube or wherever that said that they know of a third suspect that people are looking into? This is interesting because I did originally say that there could be a possibility it's not just one guy but multiple, like a group who are on it, involved in some way or another. And it looks like that. Now I know I said that article is outdated. Certain things have been cleared up, such as Chase, but what hasn't been cleared up or brought up since is that third associate. What's that all about? If you know, if you've seen an update on that elsewhere, feel free to leave a comment down below or in the chat. Share your thoughts and opinions. Okay, that'll be appreciated. Now, you've got this article, another one, and it's titled Heartbreaking Update in Dylan Round's Disappearance 2 months after teen farmer vanished from farm. Now, when you first listen to that title, it's a bit misleading because when you see Heartbreaking Update, you would instantly assume, oh, he's been found, his remains. But that's not the case. It's just commenting on him not being around at his birthday and the mother talking about the seeds and planting stuff in memory of him. That's what it means, okay? But when we go down to the bottom, it does mention Jim Brenner again and a few key dates and details which might have not been included in my past videos, okay? So, this one says Dylan's 59-year-old neighbour James Brenner. So the last one said 58, so I assume it was James Brenner's birthday recently, so he's 59 now. It says, who he allegedly knew was squatting in a trailer on the land where the shelter was, according to a court document obtained by the Sun. So where it says shelter, I assume that means the barn or the shop where the boots were found nearby, I guess. Or I might be wrong there. Nevertheless, he was then named a suspect by Box Elder County Sheriff's Office on July the 7th. A search warrant had been executed at Brenner's trailer by the FBI on June 16th. Okay. Officials say they found ammunition, ignition caps, and black powder associated with muzzle-loader firearms. Brenner's friend allegedly told the FBI on June 20th. So as you see, it says Brenner's friend, who we now know as Don Hately. Okay? So that's interesting. Brought back the pound of firearms and asked a friend to keep them. Yep. FBI Special Agent Jeremiah Folke in the court document when friend asked why Brenner stated that he needed to do this for his own safety and that the last time he had trouble with the law, they took everything from him and he did not want things to be taken again. Yeah, we've heard that before. Right, so this is the key bit. It says, according to the court document, Brenner has been charged with possessing a firearm while being a felon. He remains in custody until his trial for his firearm possession on September the 12th. So that's good that we know the court date. And it'll be interesting to see what goes down, the sentence, any more links with Dylan, new information, developments, and how long is he sentenced for? Is he cleared like Chase or not? Those are the questions we can be thinking and asking ourselves in the build-up to it. Now, I'm sure I saw somewhere something about Jim not pleading guilty or something, saying, oh, it's not my fault, I've got nothing to do with it. I might be wrong about that, but I swear I saw that in an article. Whether that is the case or not, it's still going to tie on with my prediction, okay? Because as I said at the start of the video, I was going to make a prediction. You can let me know your predictions or your thoughts on mine and so on. So the way I see things, when it gets to that date, that court trial, I'm just thinking, is it set to that date? Still some time ahead for the current investigations to carry on? Because if Candice said, police are working on it, FBI they have found stuff, but they can't reveal it yet, is that because they're analysing the evidence found, checking it for DNA testing, sending it to the labs, and that takes time and focus. So once all that's been processed, and the results have been given, then that can be handed over to the court or whatever. So by the 12th, then they can use it as evidence to prove Jim being responsible for Dylan's outcome. That's one way of looking at it, right? Yeah, it just makes sense in my head. Now, when it comes to Jim himself, let's just put that evidence aside. Is Jim likely to confess? No. He hasn't done so far, has he? That might be because he is innocent, or it's just simply because he's stubborn and awkward. From what Candice has said during that interview or that talk with Heavy D at the time, she said, oh yeah, he's in that trailer over there, over that way. He doesn't talk much. He's not that bad of a person, but he's just a bit grumpy. He's a grumpy old man. So depending on how you interpret that, along with other stuff and how he might act, he could be stubborn. He could be awkward. So when they do interrogate and ask him questions saying, where's Dylan? Let's just say evidence has now been put into place, put into the court, he is guilty and so on. But is there a location of Dylan then? Because that evidence that might have been found might, incriminate and lead to a conviction of Jim and his involvement, but the evidence might not be Dylan himself, like remains or something. It might just be a phone, some fingerprints to a gun, and just that. So then it would still mean Dylan hasn't been found. You know what I'm saying? And if Jim wants to treat it like some kind of game to get some kind of satisfaction out of it, then he might end up playing the long game, dragging things out, or maybe never revealing it so people suffer because, it's happened before and Jim could be the type of person to do that again. Let me know your thoughts on that. Do you think that's what will happen? As for other predictions, I'm sure there'll still be drama here and there with other YouTube channels and stuff that might be ongoing. But at the end of the day, it's just part of the case and mystery. I saw it with the Kenny Veach one. You couldn't really avoid it at times. So it's just what it is what it is. I guess as long as it doesn't halt progression, direct progression within the case, as long as it doesn't derail any evidence or ruin it, then it's not too bad, right? I know some people have been saying how certain individuals might have been at places and touched things they shouldn't have, contaminating evidence, ruining it, tampering, etc. But let's not forget, other people have done it as well, such as family members right at the start. So different people, capable and responsible. Don't just start looking at one singular individual or group. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically it for all of that. The polar bear's back there. The penguin out of action in this video. Had a bit of a headache. I wonder why. So, kind of unfortunate. Any other characters around? Oh yeah, goody, Andrew's going to show his toy collection off. Wow. Are you fucking serious? But for some reason I've got a banana in pyjamas. I don't know how useful that is. They don't fit me, and I have tried, obviously. And then randomly to bring this up, because as I said, when it comes to mysteries and cases, there's always a link within a link, and the same applies here with this hippo. So as you can see, there is a hippo wearing pajamas. I don't think that's a normal thing, but there you go. It's one of those promotional ones, something to do with beds. You might be able to see there, just to do with beds. It's a promotional one, what you might have seen on adverts in the past. But the reason why this all links, because speaking of pajamas and bananas, these pajamas, or part of it, were applied to the penguin in the past. I don't know why I keep moving his head, I'm the one talking. But yeah, these pants, which I'm not going to pull off because I can imagine YouTube getting involved, probably investigations and the police come knocking. Oh my God, Andrew's pulling pants off a hippo. That's illegal, man. That could happen. But yeah, I used these when I did my fashion blog video. If you want to check it out, I'm sure you do. I'll leave a link down below because that'll explain it. And I tried fitting it on the penguin and it was being a bit awkward at the time, so things didn't go to plan, okay? This penguin and see if they can go to good use.
What a fucking numbskull.
Yes, yes, yes. Here, right now.
He's the big man.
No, I don't care. This person, Silverheels.
Manipulative creep.
Yes, I know. Do you like that, Silverheels?
Like
you want
hell.
to keep them on so you can stay warm?
Let's get to the bottom of this Jeff Claus stuff.
Good for you. So I think that rounds it all off. Yeah. You can let me know what you think down below. I wouldn't say, I'll be honest, I wouldn't say I was in a full-on focused mood today to be looking at the even more important things, like more observational stuff with the burnout trailer, unfortunately, so I apologise for that. But I hope you enjoyed the video regardless, and this new information about, I guess, the court case date of Jim, and also the supposed police presence and FBI within Montello and the counterpoints with that as well. Leave your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and goodbye.